Okay, here we go. Peace, y'all. Clean this camera up. There we go. Peace to the family. Peace, love, and light. What's good? What's good? Peace, peace, peace. What's good with you on this amazing, beautiful Saturn day? You know? How's everybody doing out there? Peace, family. What's going on? What's good with you this Saturn day? What's on the agenda? What's on the itinerary? What's good with you? What y'all getting into? It's beautiful weather out. I don't know where you located at, geographically located in these United States, but here in Atlanta in the South, yeah, it's beautiful. You know, it's giving the last days of summer, even though that we in spring. I mean, we in the fall. My bad. Yeah, it's beautiful weather. You know, I don't know. You know, these last few Saturdays and Sundays, people been either under weather or under fire. So where you at? What's going on? Where you at? What's it looking like? Yeah. But yeah, it's a beautiful Saturday nonetheless. Just wanted to tap in and get this conversation going about some things. You feel me? Put the seatbelt on. Okay. Is it? It's beautiful in New York? That's what's up, man. Shout out to NY. Shout out to the tri-state area. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the home team. I ain't forget y'all. Yeah. What's good where y'all at? What's the temperature where y'all at? Is it beautiful like it is out here in Atlanta? Feel like a summer day. Peace, love, and light. Yes, indeed. What's good? What's good? Yeah, it's a lot going on, y'all. I just wanted to tap in to see if I can run through some of these stories, these narratives. You feel me? I can't, you know, everything that we can't throw every single thing up as a post and give it the attention and the energy that it deserves. And then a lot of stuff is lost in translation because we don't always read the captions the same way. You know what I mean? These little nuances in language, you might read it totally different than how it sounded in my head. So it's some things that I've made observations of that I definitely want to tap in because, you know, in a few weeks, it's like, what is it, 2 Saturdays from now, I think it'll be, or Halloween, the weekend of Halloween, and y'all gonna dress up your little toddlers as little demons and ghouls and shit like that, and send them out here into the world to overindulge in candy. Halloween starts the cycle of degradation of the holiday ritual, right? And it's not so much about people dealing with folk traditions or tapping into the Day of the Dead and not knowing anything about their ancestors or having any level of, you know, covering when the veil is at its thinnest. It's not even that. It's more so the overindulgence in sugar, right? It's more so the overindulgence of sugar that starts the cycle. It's a 4-pronged cycle where you destroy yourself, right? In the months of winter, you know what I'm saying? Because the months of winter deal with death. So how can you deliberately put a gun to your head and pull the trigger? And this is voluntarily, this is ritualistically. We do this every single year. We divest ourselves of all of our blessings. We voluntarily put ourselves on the cross, and the niggas that sit up there on Instagram and tell you that ain't no such thing as Jesus and all of that shit, and you crucifying yourself in public in front of the world to prove a point, which it never gets proven, right? You're trying to prove something to them little motherfucking children of yours, and you don't even get the blessings or the ashe for it. The shit goes to some bearded white man. You break your back to buy them all these gifts that they don't play with. You know what I'm saying? And you don't even get the credit for it. You're playing yourself. But Halloween starts the ritual, the overindulgence in sugar. What does that subconsciously tell these children? Right? You're raising your baby like they white children, where they have this level of entitlement and overindulgence. Little nigga, 5 pieces of candy is enough, especially for your teeth. You know what I'm saying? But you giving them, they got access to 500 pieces of candy. They don't want to share, right? Is this starting to sound familiar? You have access to an overabundance of sugar, right? Then you don't want to, you're not sharing. You're like, no, this is mine. Even though you knocked on some motherfuckers' doors and they broke you off little bits and pieces, these little niggas grab all of the candy and they don't want to share, right? So you overindulging in sugar. You're participating in overindulgence, overconsumption. Then you're being stingy. You feel me? The sugar got you hyperactive, right? And then you go straight into Thanksgiving. Less than 30 days. So with Thanksgiving, now you're dealing with an overindulgence of food, starch primarily, and then you compound that by putting liquor on top of it. So then what does that do? Right? That's going to churn the sugar inside of your system. Right? So you already got the sugar. Your children is geeking because you can't even eat all of the candy in Halloween in the whole month of November. You can't even knock it down in the whole month. By the time you finish knocking it down, here go Thanksgiving. Now you overindulging in starch and bread. You putting liquor on top of it because ain't nobody eating and then drinking they, whatever the fuck you drink on Thanksgiving, whether it's wine, eggnog, or whatever liquor you drinking that while you eating. So you're not digesting the food. You got so much of it that you got seconds, days later, right? So there's an overindulgence while you celebrate the celebratory murder of indigenous people. You're participating in all of these rituals, right? Fronting like, oh, this is my only opportunity to get the family together. Yeah, but you around a table that's like, it might as well got bodies on the shit like Jeffrey Dahmer. You might as well be indulging in eating the liver and the heart of indigenous people because that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing, right? And you overindulge in that. And then the food turns into liquor inside of your system. I mean, it turns into sugar inside of the system, a fermented sugar. Fermented sugar. Right? And that's, let's say, November 25th. And then a month later, then you introducing the children to the overindulgence of gifts. And you lying to them at the same time. So they have to deal with your compulsory lying. Somebody lied to you and you perpetuated the lie. You lied to your children and told them that somebody else was responsible for all of the hard work that you put in to make this one day out of the year special for them. They got more toys than they could possibly play with. They ain't finished playing with the toys from last year. So now all of that shit gets stacked in the closet. You overindulge these little spoiled motherfuckers and buying them shit that they don't need, that they not gonna play with, and they're not appreciative. They're not appreciative because it came too easy. You bust your ass to get it as a parent, but you ain't get no credit because you said the Santa Claus did it. Then they find out that you lying, and then they never trust you again because it really hurt their heart. It hurt my heart, and I knew better, and it still hurt my heart. Not even so much that I found out the Santa Claus wasn't real. It was like, why was y'all lying and putting up such a front, though? Got a little nigga, I gotta go to sleep all early, turn the lights out and shit. All for what? I could have sat there with you and helped you wrap the goddamn gifts up. We could have had a family bonding moment. But instead, you got me looking out the window for reindeers and shit, trying to understand this shit, because I'm living in an apartment building. We don't got a chimney. You feel me? I'm like, where the pit bulls? I mean, the reindeer's gonna fit with all the pit bulls in the goddamn neighborhood. I'm concerned for the reindeers and shit because there's pit bulls outside. All of this unnecessary shit. For me to later on in life do the etymology and the word, the scramble, because it's a such thing called an anagram, right? You could take the words and reshuffle them. So Santa is the same word as Satan. It's the same word. In gematria, they both equal 666. And that ain't the carbon. No, matter of fact, let me do say, and shout out to the Moors, right? I'm going to throw you one, but y'all don't get no credit because they don't teach this in the temple. They don't teach this in the temple, right?
In the depth chambers.
They don't teach this in the temple. I don't know what they teach in the depth chambers when it pertains to Christmas per se. But Santa Claus comes from Sinterklaas, right? Mm-hmm. And Sinterklaas was a Spaniard. He was a Moorish figure who went around with Swarth Pete. And Swarth Pete is the Black Petes, or they're the little children, the Twa. They were all understood to be as Moors. In the literature, when you go and you read it, right? And this is what y'all would call the elves. The elves were always considered the Twa. And the Twa, these were short, melanated, extremely dark-skinned pygmies, Moors, who would run around. They were fun and joyous. All of the children played with them. Every time they pulled up to the shores, right, the Swar Peeps would precede Sinterklaas. Centering and Sinterklaas, again, it was a physical being, but also it was a metaphor for alchemy. Centering something, when you burn something, you center it, and it creates something called a black soot, a black soot, right? And that's what centering creates. So the Swar Pete, or the little pygmies, were a representation of the alchemical process of what it takes to turn lead into gold. And this process is inaugurated at the point in time that the sun dies at the exact time of Christmas, December 25th. And this is when the astrological season goes from Sagittarius into Capricorn. Hence the fact that they said they put Jesus in a tomb for 3 days. That's supposed to be in Easter, but it's the story about December, because the sun dies in September. I mean, the sun dies in December, and it dies for 3 days. Those 3 days are then personified by the 3 months of winter, considered Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, which is Cap. Those 3 months is when the sun is dead in the winter, right? It loses its lion's mane, meaning that it loses its sun rays. And then it dies, and then it's reborn in the spring, what they call Easter. Nigga. So that's the fucking secret of Christmas. Hence the fact that the motif of Christmas is the same Christmas tree that you find, right, on the ancient Moorish flags. Or what's considered the cedar tree, or the flag that they used over here initially, the intercontinental flag that they used for the Continental Congress and things of that nature, with a red backdrop with the cedar tree on it, right? And hence the fact that you find a 5-pointed star, same as the Moorish star, on the top of the tree. This is all of your information coming from the Dutch and the Spaniards. Dutch and Spain, both places where the Moorish presence is unprecedented. Everybody knows this but some niggas, okay? Who want to sit up here and participate in folk traditional holidays, turning their children into little Jeffrey Dahmers. Because Jeffrey Dahmer was the personification of what white privilege looks like, denied. Right? Or what, not only white privilege, but what's considered to be white entitlement. right? Which is what you see when you see those children with their parents. Everybody has seen a white child with their parents raise hell, and the parents will appease them and give them everything that they want. This is them acting out their entitlement, and this is them receiving their reward for acting out their entitlement. That psychology that they develop is what they carry through the rest of their lives. This psychology that they develop is what Jeffrey Dahmer was confused about, because he wasn't being seen and heard. He needed to dominate. So at the onset of Christianity, when Christianity turns to Christendom, when Constantine gets it, Constantine being the Roman emperor at the time, right? Never before had religion been used as a tool for the empire to conquer until Constantine got it. And when Constantine changed Christianity into Christendom, it changed from having dominion into domination. And they have operated from this particular position because it's a psychological mentality ever since they've dealt with domination. And when you steal something or take something from somebody, then you're not in the business of sharing. So this is not Christianity. Let's be clear. This is not Christianity. It's Christendom. It's a military device. It's a Trojan horse device that Roman Empire to this day is utilizing to conquer and subjugate the entire planet, utilizing the name of Christ to do it. He's the Prince of Peace. They have never encountered indigenous people and convinced them to adopt Christianity by peace. It has always been at the barrel of a gun and at the tip of a sword. So it's an oxymoron, contradiction. How can you push the Prince of Peace on people via war and subjugation and domination? And the fact, again, because they're dealing with the doctrine of discovery and everything that they do, they cannot dominate you and then share with you. That's an oxy-fucking-moron. You niggas is not going to get reparations. Cut it out. Because y'all still don't understand the relationship between the domination that you are dealing with your oppressor. Your oppressor has taken your birthright from you. And with your birthright comes the land rights. They could play them games all they want with other people and be like, yeah, we're going to give you something back. That ain't got nothing to do with you. You're not getting your shit back. You got to take yours back in blood. Because it's a birthright issue. And it's dealing with your blood. You got to run down on the church. You got to run down on the church. Right? That who got your birthright in the bind, in the box. Feel me? Peace, peace. Peace, my brother. Right? So, and this is not, I'm not taking no political stances and saying that things that people are doing or planning to do is not effective. I'm seeing the movements out there, and I'm appreciative, that people are deciding to move. I'm just saying, shit, just holler at me for some consultation so I can tell you, where to aim the arrows at, where to point the motherfucking gats. So you don't be out there wasting your time and your energy. We want to get aggregate efficiency, right? You want to hit and you want to make it effective as possible, so you don't waste time and you're not telegraphing all of your moves to your enemy. You got it? You know what you're looking for? Yeah, I'll show it to you. Yeah, I want to see a victory come out of that move, because you know what I'm saying? We don't got forever. We got to get this remedy if that's what we're looking for. But you got to be willing to bring the church to its knees, because that is the aggressor, that's the egregor, right? That's where the travesty took place, and that's where it continues to originate from. They are the culprit. They are the sole culprit. Yeah. If it would be anywhere, it would be here. No, it would be right here. Yeah, let me play this, because this is special. This definitely touched my heart. Shout out to my brother,
Today we're going to talk
Q
about
Butter.
the restitution and reparation for the Roman
The
Catholic
babies
Church.
know.
So, let's talk about how the Roman Catholic Church contributed in the transatlantic slave trade. First, they instructed Portugal and Spain to invade, murder, and subdue all sub-Saharan Africans. They identified us as black Gentiles in which took away our rights, and they created laws that told people how to treat black people unfairly. Also, not forget how the Roman Catholic Church benefited from the transatlantic slave trade. One, they had a huge increase in tithes. Two, they had a big and political power. Let's also not forget how my ancestors' land was acquired by the Roman Catholic Church to build more Catholic churches like this one. Let me tell you how my ancestors were affected during the transatlantic slave trade. One, they violated our rights and privileges. Two, they stole our lands and our resources. Three, they destroyed our family culture and our family structure. You can't forget how black people are still affected by the transatlantic slave trade to this day. One, we don't have access to our own land. Two, we can't trace back our own family lineage. And three, we can't connect to our own people because our identity is lost. And after hearing all of that, we're here to tell you that we need restitution and reparation for the Roman Catholic Church. Right now! Today we're going to tell you why we need restitution and reparation for the Roman Catholic Church.
What a beautiful demonstration. What a beautiful demonstration. The babies know. The babies know, and the grown folks have no idea. What's fucking with that? Yeah, where have we seen that before? The babies. The babies know. I've never been in a situation in an organization where somebody has figured that out for themselves. Shout out to Q Butter. Shout out to his brilliant student body, right? Those brilliant babies over there leading the charge. We need to have them in D.C. at the FBA rally. You know what I'm saying? Because it has to come by way of the mouth of these babies. You got to hear the babies because we may not live through this. But the babies are going to be able to carry the charge. So we have to make such a noise, we have to make so much noise.
She likes the drink. So sometimes
We have to make so much noise that it's going to be embedded in the minds of these babies to carry this through the next generation, right? The church cannot get away for another generation with the travesties that have been wrought in the name of quote unquote Christ. They doing his name wrong. They doing the church, the institution of the church wrong. They desecrated the name of Christians. You feel me? And of course, they have subjugated the entire planet. And now 69% of the population, you know, they have thrusted the animals, goddamn it, into extinction. This has all been done in the name of conquest. So the Christian church has compelled these conquistadors to not only conquer melanated people, they also went to war with the land. So they destroyed the animals, they destroyed the flora and the fauna, they destroyed the oceans and the waterways, they destroyed the air. You feel me? What have they not destroyed? They destroyed the food supplies. All of this with the same people who come with the fucking cross, talking about, you know, your Lord and Savior and all that shit. Yeah, them niggas. Right? With enemies like that. With friends like that, who needs enemies? Melanian, the adjective form of melanin. Oh, hey, I'm here for it. Melanians, okay. Yeah, let's watch that one more time, man. Let's watch that one more time.
Today we're going to tell you why we need restitution and reparation from the Roman Catholic Church. So, let's talk about how the Roman Catholic Church contributed in the transatlantic slave trade. First, they instructed Portugal and Spain to invade, murder, and subdue all sub-Saharan Africans. They identified us as black Gentiles in which took away our rights, and they created laws that told people how to treat black people unfairly. also not forget how the Roman Catholic Church benefited from the transatlantic slave trade. One, they had a huge increase in tithes. Two, they had a big gain of political power. Let's also not forget how my ancestors' land was acquired by the Roman Catholic Church to build more Catholic churches like this one. Let me tell you how my ancestors were affected during the transatlantic slave trade. One, they violated our rights and privileges. Two, they stole our lands and our resources. Three, they destroyed our family culture and our family structure. You can't forget how black people are still affected by the transatlantic slave trade to this day. One, we don't have access to our own land. Two, we can't trace back our own family lineage. And three, we can't connect with our own people because our identity is lost. And after hearing all of that, we're here to tell you that we need restitution and reparation from the Roman Catholic Church. Right now! Right now! Today we're going.
So, you know, the way that I choose to observe the world, because this is all a choice. I choose to observe the world through its astrological signaling. What does that mean? Because, you know, I'm using these big words and shit. I like looking at reality according to the zodiac seasons. When we in a particular season, you'll see I'll hashtag that season, but I'll look for the motifs. I'll look for the things about that zodiac sign to speak directly to me in real time. So we are in Libra season. And Libra season is about law, it's about contracts, it's about relationships, and it's also about it's an aspect of money involved because Venus deals with money, but it's really about quote unquote the balance. It's about the scales. You feel me? And one of the illest aspects of what it represents is dualism and polarity, right? Because that's what the scales represent as well. The illest dualistic aspect in our reality is black and white, right? There's aspects of it that's very real and there's aspects of it that's very fictional. And you, as the balancing fulcrum point, you got to balance out what that understanding is. There's a lot of things that you have to bring into balance in Libra season, that you have to do self-audits to say, yo, I brought better balance to this. I'm at a better place in my life this year than I am last year. If you're being triggered by this conversation around race, and admittingly, I have been triggered as well. So I had to sit with myself and really investigate, why are you so triggered this year or this season more than anything else? The Kanye shit, I should have been able to see that from 1,000 miles away, because it was a trigger. It was a purposeful trigger in Libra season, and it showed how off-kill the world is and melanated people, right? And our community is in particular dealing with race relations, or how we have you balanced your overstanding and understanding of white-black race relations. No, we have not. We're still pretty much unkilled, confused. We don't have a clue. You know what I'm saying? And Kanye West exposed that. He exposed us in Libra season as being the most emotionally unbalanced people on the planet. He also exposed that there's some people on the planet that are so emotionally fragile because of the lie that they're living and the denial that they're in, you can't even mention their names or talk about them. That's a level of unbalance that's unreal. He also exposed the fact that if you pull the covers back and you look at the terminology and what's being told to us, like a lot of what we're left arguing and fighting about as quote-unquote human beings, this shit started from scripture. It started from either a misinterpretation of scripture or a purposeful interpretation of scripture, which leads to confusion. So how can quote-unquote God, the progenitor and the representative of all living things, they say that God is present, omnipresent, and omnipotent, how the fuck can you have favorites and expect this war not to be intensified, expect for conflict not to ensue on this planet? How the fuck can God be looking for peace if he got favorites? And then he impanels his favorites where there's such a small percentage of the population. The people who we talking about don't even represent 1% of the U.S. population. They don't even represent 1% of the global population. And you know who I'm talking about, but I can't even say their names on this live, right? And it's not out of fear, and it's damn sure ain't out of respect. You dig what I'm saying? It's just the way that they got this shit confused and configured. That there is a distortion of people in this population that have the amount of power that I can't even mention their name. And all of that shit is accredited back to God by saying that he has a preference over other people. But then he sent a whole fucking prophet to do away with that and said that the Gentiles, so why Christians don't go to war with them other people so they can enact what their Christ has come to this planet to do? Because them other people, not only do they not fuck with your God, they killed them. Lined them up to get them sent up. Right? I guess I'm not supposed to say that either. So what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to read the book and interpret it? Are we supposed to talk about it? We just got to talk around things. We can't talk to things. Is it a literal interpretation or is it metaphorical? Because if it's a story, how would you allow yourself to be put into a quagmire like that where someone is going to throw you in the fire, you and your people? I'd be like, nah, nigga, I need a rewrite. Right? And then, then you got our people that are in conflict with that concept to say, oh, them ain't the people, we the people. Okay. We could say y'all name, though, but we can't say theirs. Yeah, so scriptures being used to bound, scriptures being used to separate, scriptures being used to, you know what I'm saying, to exasperate this disunity. But it's still our assignment in the season of Libra to find balance in your mental between your hemispheres, your right and your left brain, as to how you deal with your relationship with people, especially those people, especially if you're melanated, carbonated, Moorish, black, whatever you consider yourself. How do you reconcile your relationship with Caucasians, colonizers, Europeans, whatever you want to call them? Do they trigger you? Is their existence something that makes you feel a certain way? All right, well, how do you reconcile those feelings? Are you doing something to work? Are you speaking to a therapist, nigga? Do you do push-ups? You know what I'm saying? You smoke more gas? Like, what do you do to bring yourself into balance? Because I seen a whole population of people get triggered just by a slogan. Just by one slogan. And then they not willing to do nothing to move on that energy. Meaning that if these people make you so uncomfortable, you got a contingency plan to neutralize them, because you can't keep leaving it up to vitamin D in the sun, my nigga. You can't continue thinking that melanoma is going to answer all of your problems. If you identify that these people is the source of your problems. You know what I'm saying? That's not my paradigm. I'm not buying into that. You know what I'm saying? I can only be the source of my problems. Hence the fact that I can only be the one that has a solution for my problems. I'm not externalizing my problems, because I will never get no redress for anything that's external to me, right? Because those are things that I can't possibly be responsible for. But I can be responsible for me. So, again, I like pulling the covers back and telling you what's taking place subconsciously based on the conversations that I'm hearing people have. So subconsciously, I'm hearing that your subconscious trigger is the existence of some people who moved you in a particular way and you can't move them back. So you're dealing with frustration, and that frustration at some point is going to turn to disease, because it's going to destabilize your entire being, because you don't got answers. And the brain is only built to create solutions, nothing else. You came here to this planet to hack problems. So if you feel that somebody's existence is adversarial to you in a problem, you better find a way to convince yourself that you're dealing with that problem, or you're killing yourself. And then you can see what all of the mental instability is that we're dealing with. But we have been exposed to this cancer for so long that we have adopted the mentality of the colonizer again, who is he's been lied to, right? He's been lied to. He has a false sense of entitlement based on a false sense of superiority, right? Based on a false sense of birthright, which gives him dominion over something that he don't even understand. So he can't properly take care of it. So what does he do? He kills it and he plays with it, just like Jeffrey Dahmer. Just like Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer said, I had a compulsion. He said, I had a compulsion towards domination first. His compulsion was towards domination because as a white male, he felt that he was not being seen and heard in society. And that is so dangerous when you raise a child to think that everything in society is made to serve them. Everything in society is made for their visibility. The minute that they feel invisible, right, they want to destroy the society. And they're going to do any and everything that they need to do to make you pay them some attention. Think about all of the lone wolf shooters, right? All of the lone wolf shooters said what? They wanted notoriety because they were overlooked in society, or they weren't sexually favored. So they all had weird ass sexual proclivities. They all had weird sexual fantasies, right? Their sexual orientation was off. Now, their own psychoanalyst expert, Freud, said what? In order to know the person, you have to know how they have been sexualized. Now, this is for if you into psychoanalysis, if you are psychoanalytical, like what I'm doing right now, talking about the subconscious, the underpinning of what makes a person do a certain thing, it all goes back to their sexuality, right? How they have been introduced to that, because their sexual activity is going to tell you everything about their consciousness that you need to know, especially as it pertains to domination. So they are sadomasochistic. They are sadists and they're masochists. Any woman that you know who has dealt with the colonizer, especially women in the sex industry, if you know any women in the sex industry, ask them about the psychology or the psychosis of their white male clients, right? They like being denuded and disrespected. Totally. They love being diminished in the act of sex, right? They want to be dominated in that act, but they want to dominate as well. So they want to be dominated in private, but they want to dominate in public. And the reason that they have to be on top in terms of domination and they can't be a bottom, right, is because of the shit that they're hiding and the fact that they stole everything, right? So they cannot leave the option up to you. They have to always have control of the option at all times. The option is not non-optional when it comes to them based on their psychology, right? And they're also dealing with the psychology of something or someone that's recessive who wants to be dominant. So what do? They dominate you sexually, because all of this shit that we're dealing with in society is sex. It's all based on relationships, which all are based on contracts, which all, if you investigate, you can see where the domination comes from. They want to dominate in every single thing that they do because they cannot allow you to have any level of autonomy, because they'll lose if it's a fair game. They're not anatomically superior to you, right? They're routing you utilizing intellect, cunning intellect at that. The fact that you have given them the benefit of the doubt, the fact that you continue to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? They continue to finesse you. It's like what this community does with the scammers that are teachers. Oh, you know, he wouldn't do that and shit. Maybe it was a mistake. Okay. $1 million later, you know, if you can use that money better than I can. Right? These niggas is in denial that they've been duped. It's the same thing in society. It's the same thing that happened with C-19. Ain't nobody picked up a pitchfork yet and went to nobody's capital demanding justice. And the whole country got duped. And they telling you in public right now that they duped you. Niggas lost their job, they lost their families, and a lot of people lost their lives. And yet again, they're getting away with murder. You feel me? Because of the compulsory benefits of the doubts that you continuously give these people, because you swear that they God. You haven't dealt with the badge and the bruise and the terror of what Christendom represents, and this installing in your mind of a white Christ that is anchored in this reality by a white Pope. Hence the fact that Kanye had Pope John Paul on the front of that shirt. Hence the fact that even on Monday, let me pull this shit up because y'all niggas don't, man, listen. I be giving myself my pats on the back because I be like, man, would you look at this shit? I be hyping myself up. I be like, man, you be on it. You be on it. Because I be damned if these things are not themes that are like totally concurring. But I don't have, you know, I don't get to go and share everything that I do with everybody. But this observation right here, I can't overlook this because this ties directly into the conversation that I've been having in public about this church and about Christianity or Christendom and how it applies. So this came out on Columbus Day, which is, they call it Indigenous Day, but that's cute. You feel me? We know what time it is. Again, you niggas have not said nothing crazy to no Italians. You ain't said nothing crazy to no Spaniards. You ain't said nothing crazy to the Dutch, Belgium, right? None of the people who have desecrated our people by the millions have we opened our mouths and spoke to. We want to act tough with the U.S. government, and that's a corporation that ain't had nothing to do with your slavery. Granted, the U.S. Corp is a new thing. We don't talk to the U.K. crazy. We don't talk to the British crazy. Niggas was celebrating the Queen and all that stupid shit. So, what should also be noted is a conflict between white and indigenous identified Latinos. The racism by the LA City Council was also directed against indigenous Mexicans who do not identify with Spain and do not see themselves as Europeans. You feel me? This is the shit that I've been trying to tell you niggas is the underpinning cause of our destabilization as a people. Nigga, is Spain. It's fucking Spain. And the Church of Rome, Spain, Italy, and Britain. Let's just stick with them for now so we can have a clear target. And then we can add on other people as we go along. But they cannot squeeze and slide away from this conversation. What we experience in terms of prejudice by way of the quote-unquote Latino, there's no such thing as a Latino. There's no such thing as a Hispanic. Just like there's no such thing as a black person. All of those are creations based on domination from other nations who have inseminated themselves into your consciousness, and you're utilizing their brand to identify you. Oh, you speak Spanish. No, you are a vessel or vassal of a Spaniard. Spain conquered you and they gave you their mother tongue. Right? What the fuck is a Latino? You come from Latin America because the syntax that you speak is Latin, because you were dominated by Spaniards. What part don't we get? None of those identifications speak to nationality. They're speaking about linguistic terms. Oh, you speak Spanish. Oh, you speak Latin. How can that be a people? That's your tongue. That ain't a people. Who are these people? Don't let me get on the blacks. I'm not going to do it today, but I'm going to do it someday, but not today. You got to come up with these answers yourself. We've been doing this far too long. Hispanic, Hispaniola. What the fuck is a Hispanic? You were dominated on the island of Hispaniola by Columbus and the Spaniards. That's the name. Puerto Rico, Puerto Riches. That's a brand of where they were able to extract riches from. They named it after the port that they were able to go into to extract all the riches, and the people call themselves that. You feel me? These are the badges of slavery that we're speaking about. And how people that are looking for remedy and redress at law sound so crazy.
Names that allude to slavery.
Names that allude to slavery. And we battling. Oh, POCs don't deal with Latino X's. I'm like, ain't none of them people real. You feel me? What is a person of color? What is a Latino X? You know what I'm saying? We got to get this right in this lifetime so these babies, let me show you how them again. These babies can lead the charge and we can get out the way. Now, yeah, they may be using some colorful terms, but...
Today we're going to tell you why we need restitution and reparation from the Roman Catholic Church. So, let's talk about how the Roman Catholic Church contributed in the transatlantic station. First, they instructed Portugal and Spain to invade, murder, and subdue all sub-Saharan Africans. They identified us as black Gentiles, which took away our rights, and they created laws that told people how to treat black people unfairly. Also, not forget how the Roman Catholic Church benefited from the transatlantic slave trade. 1, had a huge increase in tithes. 2, they had a big gain of political power. Let's also not forget how my ancestors' land was acquired by the Roman Catholic Church to build more Catholic churches.
So I want to say this, right? Because it comes down to this at the end of the day. Our, melanated people is not a monolith in this country, so nobody believes the same thing, right? And everybody seems to be going in different directions. But when it comes to receiving remedy at law, you would think that our community would speak to a contingency of our people who that's their strong suit. Yo, I deal with law. You know what I'm saying? I be going up in these courts. I be taking off magistrates' heads. You feel me? If you can't walk out of a courtroom and do the same, nigga, you are not proficient at law. And this is not law that we dealing with in court. It's the legal system. It's totally different. If you're not proficient in law, if you don't know common law, if you don't know ecclesiastic law, if you don't know Roman civic law, you don't know law. You know code and ordinances. You know the legalese. You know the legality. You don't even know legalese, matter of fact. Because if you knew legalese, you wouldn't call yourself black. If you knew legalese, you damn sure wouldn't be calling yourself a person of color. And you wouldn't call yourself a person. Because the Black Laws Dictionary tell you what a person is. If you're looking for remedy and redress in a court of law, this is a different conversation altogether. So niggas can act cute on the internet all they want, but when you step into that courtroom, if you've been in a courtroom, it's a different language. So why are people who don't know that language spearheading movements that can only be remedied in law, such as reparations? You can't go in that courtroom without knowing law. You can't go in the courtroom without knowing legalese. You can't go in the courtroom without knowing something. So why are we setting our people up? You feel me? All of this, to me, it has to be posturing. It has to be, we just putting on the front. And we're going to end up hurting ourselves more than we end up helping ourselves. Because, again, it speaks to the disunity in the community, consult somebody at least first that knows law. You don't got to adopt everything that's being said or everything that's being taught. But in order to get different results, you have to do something different. You got to come at it from a different approach. You have to. You have received no remedies at law trying anything else. There obviously is something wrong. And from the legislation that I keep reading, they keep telling them, oh, go back and come back when you figure out who you are. Because that ain't it. And we are not bound to answer nobody's request for people who don't exist. And then we get emotional. Oh, they gave this person they shit back. They gave that person they shit back. Yeah, but you're not a person. You're not a person. You know what I'm saying? So you have to find out who you are first, and then request the remedy in your proper persona, which is your proper person, not your fictional person who you are attempting to speak to these people in you know, and they like, nah, what we got is not reserved for fictional people though. You know, there's an envelope with your name on it, but you got to know your name in order to get met. You know, when you lose something and you go back to find it, they be like, let me see your ID. And you damn sure can't do it as an individual, right? They be like, let me see your ID. They be like, all right, so when was your mama born? You got to go through a criteria to pass the vetting process to prove who you are to get the envelope that you want. Now, don't be like, oh, we shouldn't have to go to them for anything. Then don't go to them. Then don't go to them. But if you keep approaching them, genuflecting on your knees with your hat out, I'm saying it's embarrassing if you keep going them in that condition. Stand up, nigga. Approach them on 2 feet in your proper person. And then they'll respond to you different. And people can say all the fuck they want about what, oh, you think they're gonna deal with you different if you change this and change that? For the people who have been dealt different, yeah, nigga. Yeah. Yeah, you get dealt different when you show up different. It's not theirs to say yay all day. But they're looking at the criteria and they're like, you don't pass the muster, so we don't got to talk to you. You don't know who you are. Go somewhere. You don't get rewarded for not knowing who you are. So if there's nothing to get from them and you don't got to do nothing to get nothing from them, why the fuck you keep trying to get something from them? You just insist on doing it in the wrong way and then complaining about the outcomes, but you don't want to listen to nobody that's telling you how to do it right, but you're still trying to do it. How crazy is that? You still going up in there getting your head knocked off, still attempting to do it. Don't want to do it right, but you're doing it their way and receiving the fucked up results, but you don't want to do it the right way. You want to do it their way. And we're telling you that's not the way to do it. If you want it done the right way, do it the right way. Don't do it the wrong way and be complaining about the results. And then that's all we do is complain about results. But we don't ever want to figure out how to do it the right way. And go up in there with the chopper and lay them down. Metaphorically speaking, right? I'm not speaking in a literal sense. I'm speaking with the information to bring them to a place where they have no choice. You feel me? But to do what they have been commissioned to do. And for those of us who have got them to do what they're commissioned to do, I'm telling you it's possible. Yeah. Shout out to my brother, Human, right? Everything is in the blocks. So the blockchain, they said that there's been a 44% adaptability in companies of utilizing the blockchain. You know what I'm saying? And I spoke about this in a post, and I'll reiterate it. You know, yeah, all caps is fiction. How do I know? September 10th, 2001. Woodbridge, New Jersey. I had a court case. I decimated and destroyed the whole motherfucking judicial system. And then the next day the towers came down. How did I do it? When they asked me to state my name for the record, I spelt my name out, and it fucked the whole proceeding up. They was throwing books at me. Red is in here. He can attest to it because he was physically present. They jumped on me. They sent the bailiffs at me, and they locked me up just to get me to stop spelling my name. I said capital P, lowercase a. Oh no, what are you doing? What did I do? I short-circuited the judicial system because once I entered my lawful name on record, it activated my paperwork. It's not the other way around. These niggas are sending you in them courtrooms with paperwork and you have not activated yourself. And then if they don't tell you, if you're not, I answer questions with questions when I'm in the belly. I don't ever give them jurisdiction. If you don't know how to mentally joust with these people to not give them jurisdiction, you've already lost. Don't go in there playing these games. Right? Because what happened with me after September 11th, then they wanted to treat me as a terrorist. You understand? So I had to move. And if you ain't been in this shit, my nigga, again, sit the fuck down and just take notes. I had to deal with these people during Homeland Security being introduced. Niggas is like they introducing it for you in your case. Specifically. Because everything in that documentation that they was attempting was them trying to push back at some shit that I was trying to do at that time in court with them. Because I fucked them up. And they had to get rid of them towers and destroy them birth certificates. And then they floated them on the market, and 7 to 8 years later, they came back and did what? They told you that they was toxic derivatives bundled with prime mortgages, and it destroyed the entire financial system. That's what happened. That's what happened 7 years after 9/11. Do the math. When did the financial system melt down? 2008. How many years does it take to bankrupt? 7. What's 1 plus 7? 8. What happened in 2008? It was monumental and instrumental. They introduced Bitcoin. October 31st, 2008. On the first day of the 44th week is when they introduced the blockchain, or they introduced Bitcoin and explained how to utilize the blockchain. The blockchain was already in existence since like 96. You feel me? The people were going to vote for change. The change came by way of a coin. Remember, the change came by way of a coin. The change came by Bitcoin. The change didn't necessarily come through Obama. It came by Bitcoin. Bitcoin was created 5 days before, October 31st, 2008. Obama took the presidency. You know what I'm saying? November 4th, or what have you. So, but the people was voting for change, but the change came by way of Bitcoin. That was the universe gave you a 2-pronged answer to your cries and your complaints. Moors, right? They gave you a decentralized financial system so you can finally be sovereign and autonomous, and you know, you ain't had to keep talking that shit. You can actually do something. And then they gave you a melanated president that you can actually interface and sit down and talk to, who was given all of the Moorish information in the world until they caught on to him. And then they branded his ass, they brand tagged him, and they rolled his ass out of that presidency by bringing his doppelganger in, which was Donald Trump, who started on his ass by calling him a birther. That was a direct response to him attempting to telegraph to y'all that he was a Moor, wanting to talk to y'all, because he was up there talking all this Moorish shit, and then the white boys caught on. And it's like, look, this nigga's a Muslim. They said specifically he was a Muslim. They didn't say Muslim. They said he was a Muslim. When he went to Egypt and he did that presentation in Egypt and he spoke about the fact that Morocco gave the U.S. its operating authority to exist. That's when the case was over. And at the same time, his wife was at the Alhambra in Spain. They was trying to tell you little